Well folks, the year is drawing to a close, and what a crazy year it's been, eh? In fact, 2024 has arguably been one of the most important years in crypto's decade-and-a-half-long history. And this is the time of year when everyone starts making predictions for what comes next, and that's why we thought it would be fun to take a look back at the predictions we made at the end of last year for 2024. So pour yourself some mulled wine, grab some of your favourite festive snacks, send the kids to their room, and let's dig in. So let's start with a bit of context. Right at the end of last year, we put out a video giving our 10 predictions for 2024. We'll leave a link to that video in the description in case you want to check it out. Now, while nobody at the Coin Bureau can predict the future, we're proud to say that we were surprisingly accurate in our predictions. Specifically, out of our 10 predictions, we got 6 of them bang on, 3 of them partly right, and just 1 completely wrong. Not bad, eh? I reckon that's worth a like and a subscribe right off the bat, don't you? Oh, and don't forget to ping that notification bell too, so you're always kept in the loop. And by the way, if you want to see what we think will happen in 2025, stick around to the end for an all-important announcement. Now, our first correct prediction was on just about everybody's bingo card for 2024, and that was the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs in the United States. To jog your memory, the reason why everyone expected this was because the SEC was running out of time to delay its decision. You'll also recall that BlackRock was a key applicant for a spot Bitcoin ETF, and the SEC had only ever rejected one of BlackRock's previous ETF applications. On top of this, JP Morgan had even announced that if the applications were rejected, large asset managers would take the SEC to court. Safe to say it was pretty much in the bag then, so much so that Bloomberg ETF analysts gave a 90% chance of approval between the 5th and the 10th of January. As you'll know, the ETFs were approved on the 10th and went live the following day. Now, we knew that spot Bitcoin ETFs would be popular, but even we were surprised to see the rate that money started flowing in. In fact, the US spot Bitcoin ETFs have raked in over $35 billion in cumulative inflows since they were listed. Heck, they raked in $2 billion in the first 3 days alone, making them the fastest growing ETFs in history. And this brings us to our second accurate 2024 prediction, and that's that BTC would hit a new all-time high. Well, thanks to the tsunami of cash flowing in from institutional investors, BTC's previous high of around $69,000 was smashed back in March, setting a new high of around $73,000. From there, BTC would go on to move relatively sideways for the 8 months between March and November, chopping between 53k and 71k. And then, of course, we saw one of the most bullish catalysts of all in November after a certain pro-crypto former president was re-elected. But we'll come back to that later. On the 5th of December, BTC hit the landmark price of $100,000 for the first time ever. Not bad from a bear market bottom of $15,000. Even crazier when you consider just how much money it must have taken to push BTC's price up, given that it's the largest crypto by market cap. After all, the higher the market cap, the more money is needed to move the price. Now, we also said that BTC would hit new all-time highs regardless of whether the ETFs were approved, and that's because BTC typically surpasses the previous all-time high roughly 1 year before the cycle high. If you watched last year's predictions, you might recall that we predicted that BTC could hit around $80,000 before the end of 2024, which we said was a conservative estimate. I reckon we called this one pretty well. We also said that BTC would hit a new all-time high 1 year before the cycle top, which would mean that BTC could reach its peak towards the end of 2025. And I'll remind you to stick around to the end for an update on our 2025 predictions. Now, our third 2024 predictions was another that we got spot on. While the halving is a notoriously bullish catalyst, we predicted that the halving event itself would have next to no immediate impact on BTC's price. In fact, we even added that there was a risk that the price could fall. The arguments that the price would rise came from the supply and demand aspects of the halving. In a nutshell, the amount of BTC given as a block reward to miners is cut in half, meaning that the supply is squeezed. As basic economics dictates, a reduced supply combined with a demand that's either the same or increasing means that the price will rise. Of course, the flip side is that it instantly cuts a miner's revenue stream in half, forcing many of them to either sell their BTC to keep the lights on or go out of business entirely. In other words, nobody knew for sure exactly what the halving would do to BTC's short-term price action. Well, in the end, it didn't really do anything. In case you missed the memo, the latest halving event took place on the 20th of April this year, a month into the sideways chop that we saw. And yet, BTC's price barely budged. As we pointed out in our video, this is probably because the halving had already been priced in. Put simply, the halving is hard-coded to take place at a predetermined point, so everyone knew it was coming. As such, most of the price action would have happened before, which would partly explain why BTC started rallying in Q4 of 2023. Okay, our fourth prediction was the first that we only got partially correct. We said that in 2024 we would see the first narrative of the crypto bull market. More specifically, we named 3 narratives that would take off, these being decentralized social media, or DeSo, GameFi, and AI. We lent more towards DeSo as our top pick due to the rampant censorship taking place on centralized social media platforms at the time. And while GameFi had a few hits like the viral success of Notcoin or the impressive gameplay of Off the Grid, it's hard to say that it really emerged as a leading narrative. But we did call AI as being a leading narrative. Unless you've been living under a rock, you'll have seen that AI has become incredibly popular, especially in recent weeks. More specifically, we've seen a lot of hype around AI agents, also known as AI 2.0. More about that in the description. Now, the other narrative that took the spotlight this year was meme coins, which we completely faded in our video last year. While we didn't call the meme coin degeneracy, we'd argued that this narrative was hard to predict. If anything, this serves as a reminder that even at the best of times, we should never underestimate just how crazy this industry of ours can get.
Hello, it's me, Guy's cousin Barry. I'm very sorry to be interrupting this no doubt fascinating video, but I want to tell you about the Coin Bureau deals page, so listen up and listen well. Alright, this is the place where you will find all the amazing promos and discounts what you, as Coin Bureau viewers, are entitled to. So don't be a mug, go and check it out using the link below. You'll find discounts on hardware wallets, you'll find exchange sign-up bonuses, some of which are absolutely bleeding mental, and you will find trading fee discounts there as well as a whole load of other goodies too. And let me tell you, old Barrington here, he's had to hammer the dog and bone all bleeding day and night to get you these promos and discounts. So you're welcome, thank you very much, go and have a look pronto, or I'll have to come and have a word. Alright?
Okay, our fifth prediction was another that we got only half right. We predicted that Ethereum Layer 2s would see serious adoption in 2024 and would even compete with other Layer 1 blockchains leveraging the Ethereum Virtual Machine, or EVM. As we pointed out in that video, EVM-compatible chains run on Ethereum's tech, essentially making them de facto Layer 2s, but on separate blockchains. As such, these EVM-compatible chains take some of the market share away from Ethereum's ecosystem. The base case for our prediction was Ethereum's Denkun upgrade, which focused on making Layer 2 solutions faster and cheaper than they already were. We believed that once Layer 2s became more efficient, they'd be able to claw back some of that market share, which would have caused their associated tokens to rally hard. Well, this hasn't really happened, at least not yet. So far, people have flocked to alternative smart contract Layer 1 cryptos instead. The standout here has of course been Solana, which has attracted a lot of users thanks to its much simpler UX and of course its speed. As a result, Solana's soul has left Ethereum's ETH in the dust. Not only that, but we also believed our prediction would come true for sure if the spot Ethereum ETFs were approved. Well, those were indeed given the green light back in May, but unfortunately they haven't gathered nearly the same momentum as the spot Bitcoin ETFs. There are a number of reasons why this is, from heavy outflows from Grayscale's Ethereum Trust to a less clear regulatory backdrop for Ethereum staking. Institutional investors were expected to be the most eager, but ultimately, well, it's much easier to understand Bitcoin's role as digital gold than it is to understand Ethereum's role as a decentralized computer. Whatever the reason though, Layer 2s have had plenty of success this year. According to some reports, more than 87% of all Ethereum transactions came from roll-up solutions. The layer 2 with the most activity was Coinbase's Base, which came second to Arbitrum when it came to total value locked, or TVL. So we'll take that as a partial win. Now, our sixth prediction was another that we got half right, and that was that stablecoins would be used for payments all around the world, particularly non-USD stablecoins. Well, while stablecoins haven't been as widely adopted as we hoped, they have been used a lot more throughout 2024. According to reports from Castle Island Ventures and A16Z, stablecoins facilitated $8.5 trillion in transaction volume across 1.1 billion transactions in Q2 alone of 2024. And take a second to consider that this was more than double Visa's transaction volume of $3.9 trillion. Crazy stuff, especially when you recall we said that the reason why this hadn't happened sooner was primarily because of the lack of stablecoin regulation. Well, considering the imminent changes on that front, it seems as though that momentum is only going to continue. Now, of course, the part that we got wrong was about non-USD stablecoins. As it turns out, USD stablecoins are still the biggest player in town by a country mile, and then some. That Castle Island Ventures report revealed that USD stablecoins accounted for just under 99% of all stablecoin volumes. Wow. Nevertheless, stablecoins have seen serious growth throughout 2024. Not only are various regulations being implemented around the world, but the stablecoin market just recently surpassed $200 billion in total market cap for the first time ever. So we'll take partial victories wherever we can get them. Now, our seventh 2024 prediction was that some governments would start using BTC for international trade, especially those sanctioned by the United States. Well, we're happy to say that we got this one spot on. To be fair, there were already signs of this when we released last year's video. Iran has reportedly been using crypto for trade since 2022, albeit we don't know which crypto or cryptos specifically. Russia had also announced its intentions to use BTC for international trade, although this hadn't been seen at the time. As it happens though, Russia legalized crypto to be used for international trade back in July, a law that went into effect on the 1st of September. This new law intended to address the delays in payments with Russia's key trading partners, namely China, India, and the UAE. Ironically though, this new law didn't lift the ban on crypto payments between Russian citizens. Guess the rules don't apply to you if you're the ones in charge. Anyhow, not only did this law allow Russia to deal more effectively with its trade partners, but it also helped it to bypass the financial restrictions imposed by Western countries following its invasion of Ukraine. In fact, Russia is aiming to decrease its dependence on Western countries and the US dollar. And it's not just Russia making moves towards using crypto for international trade either, because it seems that other countries in the BRICS, those being Brazil, India, China, and South Africa, have paid close attention to what Russia's been up to. That's because they ended up advocating the use of BTC for international trade during this year's BRICS summit. The more you know. Okay, our eighth prediction for 2024 was that more publicly traded companies would hold BTC on their balance sheets. As we already know, this is something that MicroStrategy has been doing since 2020, and it continues to accumulate BTC on a near weekly basis. As it happens, we've seen more publicly traded companies following in MicroStrategy's footsteps and adopting BTC over the course of this year. One of these was Semler Scientific, a biotechnology and healthcare company that announced its purchase of 581 BTC back in May, which it will use as its primary treasury reserve. At the time of shooting, Semler Scientific now holds nearly 4 times that amount at 2,084 BTC. Yet another public company to take the orange pill this year was Metaplanet, a Japanese investment firm specializing in real estate and hotel development. The company announced in April that it would be shifting towards Bitcoin when it purchased 97 BTC. It now holds 1,142 BTC at the time of shooting. It's also worth noting that Block, a technology company founded by Twitter's former CEO Jack Dorsey, has announced a new DCA strategy to acquire BTC this year. For context, Block was formerly named Square before rebranding to reflect its move into crypto in December 2021. To be clear, Block has been acquiring BTC for some time, but this new DCA strategy could potentially lead to more stable and consistent growth in Block's BTC holdings, given that it plans to use 10% of its monthly profits for such purchases. Okay, folks, now our 9th prediction for 2024 was the only one that we got dead wrong. Last year, we predicted that FTX would be restarted, and we even said it could become a top competitor to other exchanges. In other words, we believed that FTX could have returned to its former glory. The reason we predicted this was simple. While FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried was rotten to the core, the FTX exchange itself was pretty solid. So naturally, this presented an opportunity for FTX to be revived while SBF was packed off to spend the next few years wearing an orange onesie. As we pointed out in our video, plans to restart FTX were already in the works, with Q2 of 2024 given as a potential revival timeline. However, those plans soon came to a grinding halt. By the end of January, FTX attorneys announced that after exhaustive efforts to figure out how to move forward, the decision was instead made to liquidate the company and repay FTX's creditors. Unfortunately for any fans of the once mighty exchange, the decision to abandon any plans to reboot FTX came because there was no investor ready to take on the associated risks and commit the capital needed to restart the platform. According to the bankruptcy lawyer, quote, "The costs and risks of creating a viable exchange from what Mr. Bankman-Fried left in the dumpster were simply too high." So yes, ultimately FTX was never restarted, and our prediction was completely off. But hey, out of 10 predictions, this was the only one we got totally wrong. Can't win them all, right? And this brings us to our 10th prediction for 2024, which was that pro-crypto politicians would be elected around the world. Do you know, I'm not sure we got this one right either. I mean, nothing immediately springs to mind. Well, other than the small matter of former US President Donald Trump turning pro-Bitcoin and then being re-elected as President of the United States. Well, jokes aside, Trump's victory in the US is arguably one of the most significant developments in Bitcoin's history. After all, prior to Trump's pro-crypto stance throughout his campaign, there weren't all that many politicians fighting our corner. Thanks to Trump, however, things are very different today. In fact, according to standwithcrypto.org, out of 535 federal politicians, there are now just 50 anti-crypto politicians in the US. Meanwhile, there are literally hundreds of pro-crypto politicians in all sorts of high places. Crazy stuff. Trump's re-election has raised expectations of a much friendlier regulatory backdrop for crypto and digital assets in the US, which is one of the biggest reasons why BTC smashed through that $100,000 milestone. That said, though, it's not just the US that voted pro-crypto candidates into power. For instance, the people of Argentina elected Javier Milei to be their own pro-Bitcoin president, while in Indonesia, Prabowo Subianto won the presidency. And in El Salvador, pro-Bitcoin President Nayib Bukele was voted in for a second term, although that probably shouldn't come as a surprise. After all, El Salvador was also the first nation in the world to make BTC legal tender back in 2021. Now, if you watched last year's video, you might also recall that we gave one bonus prediction, and that was that we'd see exponential growth in the Coin Bureau Club. Well, we're happy to say that we've had thousands of you lovely people sign up. And to the CBC elite, we want to say a big thank you. Your continued support means the world to us. So if you want to become a member, then consider joining by using the link down below. There you'll find daily insights from the Coin Bureau team that you won't find anywhere else. You'll also get weekly deep dive reviews on a project voted for by you and real-time access to our team's portfolio breakdowns. Not to mention, you'll get exclusive access to our members-only Discord filled with the coolest people in crypto. So, why not sign up and come say hello? Now, predictions aside, 2024 has been an insanely bullish year for crypto. Aside from what we've mentioned already, we've also seen huge developments in Bitcoin's ecosystem, synthetic stablecoins, prediction markets, and meme coin launchpads, to name just a few. So then, you're probably wondering what could happen next. Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. You can find out what we think 2025 will have in store for us by checking out the video we'll be putting out tomorrow. So, stay tuned. For now, though, enjoy what's left of 2024, folks, and I'll see you next time. This is Guy, signing off.